We are live. I figured that out. You know what? Helped that sign. We got a new sign up there on air. Told us we were working. We didn't turn that on or not. Oh, crap. Let me figure out how to fix this. All right. If y'all heard that, it was okay. We're professionals. We'll figure this out one day. Welcome to Heroic Scale Gamers. Crap, I forgot my drink. That is a Dr. Pepper in your view over there in front of Jamie. I'll get it in a minute. We are all about taking and putting some 40K content out, helping just in hobby across 40K and all gaming content. We've got some new things coming out too on that. Yep. We are all about taking and helping you buying that first box of paint minis, getting them put together, getting them painted. We got services and stuff online. You can take a look at that. You can watch the channels. We've got a ton of stuff we're about to start putting out over the next probably 2 to 3 weeks. It comes down to the hobbying aspect and all that, to actually getting you to be a competent player with the minis that you currently have, or put together and paint based on the stuff that we help you do there. That way you can play the game and have a blast, just enjoying yourself, being able to get lost in immersion in the game. So actually, I know we're doing these things, but I just want to show. So one of the new things that we're going to have working on the stream, it will be next week going into the next, but we've got a few new camera angles.
Yes, very exciting stuff.
So normally you would have this angle of us telling you about what's going on, and then you would have our ceiling angle, which is normally which is really good. But we actually have picked up a third angle, and it's this one. We will actually be able to immerse you inside the buildings with the models on combat.
Exactly. Look at that sweet model.
And so it is super ecstatic, super fun. We're going to take and work on it. Like I said, hopefully by midweek next week when we're streaming, we'll actually have all those angles up and running and be able to take and do it. So definitely an exciting time here with us from that. And then I guess we'll kind of get back to what we originally, I'm going to kind of flip it backwards, all the way back to the front. And then we're going to take and kind of get going on what we're doing today. So today is, we're going to go over, because we are so on top of it. So on top of it. There was no reviews that we missed. They came out today, and we're going to take and let you know about those today. So a lot of cool 40K stuff that came out this past week. You've got Codex World Eaters, you've got Chaos Space Marines, the Codex, and the new models. However, I will tell you before we get into it, being a Death Guard player, I'm very disappointed that they didn't bring them out before Death Guard came out, because I don't see them fixing my Codex to be able to pick those up.
No.
Nor Thousand Suns. So it really kind of stinks. But World Eaters would probably get it in their new Codex.
We shall see.
I'm just saying. And then we got the new Leagues of Boton models, and we're also going to talk about the Chapter Approve Season 2. It's actually really exciting, some of the things they're going to do. Give some thoughts on that as well. But first, we're going to kind of take, and we will go with World Eaters. And Jamie, I'll let you kind of take it away.
Yeah, so it's really exciting to get confirmation that we are going to get a Codex World Eaters. Obviously, this is probably a little ways off. They didn't have a whole lot that they could show about it, but they did talk about the fact that they're going to get their own book and their own model range. They're no longer going to be a part of Chaos Space Marine Codex. But they will get White Dwarf supplemental rules to hold them over until their Codex is ready and released, so that we can get our grubby hands on them. And they've also let us know that we will be seeing new Berserkers, because the old Berserkers have been around for so long. It's just great to know that they're going to be finally coming out with them. And being a World Eaters player myself, it's just exciting to know that it is on the horizon. Now, obviously, they didn't have a whole lot to show us. We got to see, as you can see on the screen now, the renders for some of the new chain axes that they're going to have available in those new kits when they are available. When are they going to be available? We don't know. They didn't really give us any kind of dates. I would guess it's probably a little ways off, since this is the only thing that they could really show us. But it's super exciting. It's just exciting to know that they're going to end up getting the same kind of treatment that Death Guard did and that Thousand Suns did. So the Sons of Angron are finally going to be able to roar across the battlefield in all their glory. So I'm very excited being a World Eaters player and having a World Eaters army.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I am actually stoked, just for the simple fact that roughly, I was going to say almost a year ago, you were sitting in a restaurant, you had the army, and we were figuring out ways to mess with it, and you've been able to play them.
Yeah.
And we all the time talk about it. And actually, to be honest, I think it was last week. You actually had them on stream, and you can go see that on our YouTube if you want to watch it. World Eaters against Ultramarines.
Yep.
And when the new ones come out, we're going to take and I will for sure get Jay back on with his Ultramarines, and we'll play that match again and see if they've gotten better, worse, because I know that matchup was a very interesting one. By all, if you haven't seen it, go back and watch it. So that'd be pretty cool.
Definitely. It was a fantastic game. Armor of Contempt has been a big help for both Space Marines and Chaos Space Marines, which include Khorne Berserkers. And so when their rules do finally start rolling out and we do start seeing more information, we'll be able to share those with you, and we'll be able to share our thoughts on them as well. But I can tell you, I'm super excited about it. It's going to be a great time for Khorne players.
Oh, it's going to be static.
Yeah.
So the next one is that we kind of got there is the Chaos Space Marine, the Codex, and the new models. And we'll take and kind of flip over here right quick so we can actually go to the reveal. And I will let Jamie kind of run down the things as they take. I'm not going to show any of the videos just for the simple fact of y'all have all seen them. And if you want to see them, go to Games Workshop and watch them.
Go to Warhammer Community website and watch them. They're definitely worth a watch. I was very, very excited to see these models. The Possessed models are some of the coolest models that they have made for a long time. They are much larger, more along the size of a Primaris Marine. So when you set them on the table, they're going to look beefy. They're going to look chunky. They've got lots of chaos iconography. These are Marines that have given themselves over to the dark powers and been rewarded for that sacrifice. And you can see all of their resplendent glory. And it's just fantastic. I mean, these are just some really, really sexy looking models. I was very, very impressed with these. The Possessed were just fantastic. Then we have the new Cast Cultists. And look at those guys. Once again, great looking models. I mean, Games Workshop, for the longest time, has been known for some fantastic looking miniatures. Their studio pumps out just great sculpts. I know there's a lot of people out there who are unsure about some of the new Monopost stuff, and they feel that they've lost something, but you can't knock the detail on these models. They just look great. I mean, you even got a dad bod in there, so all the dads out there, we can actually make ourselves look like we feel if we're in the mood for some chaos goodness. It looks like most of these are armed. Actually, all of these are armed with close combat weapons and pistols. Don't know if they're going to have another variation. These are the models that they revealed, so I'm assuming that they won't. But, I mean, as far as cultists are concerned, they're very, very good models. And then we have the Accursed Cultists. Now, these are also very good-looking models. The Chaos aesthetic is as chaotic as you would expect. These poor guys and gals have fallen prey to the machinations of chaos, and it just goes to show you that mere mortals are just not built to take on some of the gifts that the Chaos Gods have to offer. So you can see just the way that these guys look tortured and tormented. They're just...
Even the dad bod couldn't hold up.
No, he just had a rough time there. Elephant Titus.
That is the thing.
I mean, look at this poor guy. He's got a maw coming out of his chest, and his head looks like it's just about ready to disappear.
I even like to the detail in the painting, and I know they have a lot of good painters that take and paint it, but the eyes, two eyes, they even differentiated the way those eyes are taken deforming.
Yeah, just really, really nice looking models. And then the next set, these are the Tormented. These are twisted by dark rituals that they perform, and unfortunately the poor souls have been beset upon by the worst that chaos has to offer. When you ask for a gift, you better be sure that's what you want to receive, because sometimes this is what happens. I don't know if any of you guys are Warhammer Plus guys, but if you are a subscriber to Warhammer Plus, they had a really cool animation of what it looks like to be turned into a chaos spawn when you are not favored by the gods, and that's what these guys look like. They're just hideous and grotesque, and it's really fantastic.
This is my favorite one.
Yeah, that guy is just fantastic.
I mean, I like the other two looking like demon princes, but this one right here is just...
Yeah.
He's my favorite.
Just fantastic looking stuff. And then last but not least, we've got the Dark Commune. Now, this is an HQ unit. We haven't seen an HQ unit in quite a while. Guard used to have them, or I'm sorry, Astra Militarum. They used to have them, and I think it's really neat that they're going to bring something like that back. You've got 3 characters, the Cult Demagogue, the Mind Witch, and the Icon Rack, and then 2 Blessed Blades as bodyguards. So this is going to give your cult models a really cool set of miniatures to lead them into action. I mean, just look at that guy. He's basically got a severed Psyker's head on a apparatus that's keeping it alive so that it can do really cool things. So obviously we don't know what those things are yet. They didn't really show any rules. They didn't really discuss a whole lot of that. They were just showing off the models, but we shouldn't have too long to wait because this book is right around the corner.
So I'm going to tell you this. So when we're going to kind of talk about it too, but one of the things that we've seen run around here in Texas, because the guy's from Texas, but from an Astra Militarum standpoint, he runs 300 conscripts.
Yeah.
What I'm going to tell you is I don't know who's going to paint it, but because there's cultists that can be an HQ, I want to see nothing but cultists.
Yeah, so, it's interesting. So, that was probably, all of these models are really cool, like, by no means. But I did find it interesting that almost all of these were cultists and not Chaos Space Marines. Considering this is a Chaos Space Marine book, there aren't a whole lot of Marines in this reveal. Now, they have had a lot of refresh models recently. They were just part of a new box that had some new models in it.
You got your Master Possessions. You got your stuff that kind of ended at 8th, going into 9th.
Yeah.
That was chaos oriented because you could buy that box with those rules.
But the cultists were going to be an easy add to a Chaos Space Marine book because they don't have a lot of stuff.
You buy one box, you get those 10.
Yep. And that was it. And you just had to mix and match all those 10 as best you could to finally make squads. I like the fact that they are going to give them a focus, but I would have liked to have seen just a little bit more Chaos Space Marines from that Chaos Space Marine reveal.
Don't disagree.
But that's just me.
But for me, like I said, I think it would be really cool just to see an all-cultist army.
And for the first time, you'll actually, from the looks of it, be able to do it. Because I'm pretty sure that the Torments and the Accursed Cultists are going to fill elite slots or possibly heavy support slots. Or they'll be able to fill out other slots. So you will, probably for the first time ever, be able to see an all-cultist army.
Well, the other thing I think is cool, and I don't know anything, but from my standpoint, I already know cultists can ride in a rhino. But if the others follow the cultist words and based on the things, they're not in armor that's too big. So therefore, what keeps you from running an all-cultist army with termite drills or tanks? That is just going to be so cool to see on the table.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm an old school 40K player. I've been playing since the tail end of 2nd edition and the start of 3rd edition. And I remember The Lost and the Damned, which was a supplement that they had available many, many years back. This feels a lot like that.
Oh, okay, cool.
So you get to see a lot of cultists, a lot of really, really cool models. I can't wait to get my hands on some rules because I'd like to see how these are going to actually interact into the game. So, yep. So the next thing we're going to take a look at is the Leagues of Botan, Hernkin Pioneer.
You're not excited about this?
Oh my God, am I so excited about this. So when they first revealed that the Leagues of Botan were going to be a thing, I just about fell out of my chair because for the better part of 20 years, they have said that Swats are never coming back. And lo and behold, here we are 20 years later, and bing, bang, boom, look at these models. Now, I know that some people aren't going to like this aesthetic, and that's perfectly fine. I think they're absolutely amazing looking. Like, this trike brings back memories of what Swats were, but in such a cool modern way. Because one of the things that they talked about was the fact that they have access to technology that the Imperium has forgotten or lost. And this is a great example of what that will end up looking like. And yes, please, can I have some more? Holy cow.
But you have to understand. So even though it's 40K and that's what we're talking about,
Yeah.
everyone has some form of playing in fantasy and miniatures and so
yeah.
forth. So from a D&D background, the Iran Dwarf Wizards, they weren't supposed to be. But that's what this reminds me of so much. So I can't wait to have and see these on the table. It is going to be ecstatic.
Yeah, yeah. And obviously, we don't have any rules to go along with this. We just get to see this really cool model. But you can kind of see the direction that they're probably going to go with the whole range. And to me, it's just exciting. It's going to be a great looking faction with some fantastic looking models. The rules will be what the rules are. And we've seen some of the preview with the previous Leagues of Botan leak. Or reveal, not leak. And I'm pretty sure that these are going to fall in line with them. The one question that I did have asked, and I asked myself, is this going to be an individual model, or will we be able to take this in a unit? A unit of these would look so super cool, kind of like the Space Marines have attack bikes. If you can do the similar thing with this, I think that'd be really, really cool.
Well, like I was telling you, I think from the standpoint of seeing it, and I don't know, but I think it kind of reminds me of Orc Trikes. So you could have a 3-man or a 5-man of these, but you also will have one that you can mod to make it where he is the Orc, or like the Votan captain on a bike to be able to run with that unit of Trikes, which I think would be freaking awesome.
Oh yeah, like and the way the Games Workshop does multi-kits these days, it wouldn't surprise me if you do have that as an option. And if that is the case, fantastic. Like, I'm all for it. The more versatility I can have with my models, the better.
Well, the other thing is, based on just the way the balance of the game is right now, we know there's a few things that are off. We won't get into those, but based on the way they've been able to do it, based on the way they keep modifying, I'm excited to see it come out because it's an army that either you have models from days of old, and I don't know, I can ask you, probably metal.
Yeah, they are definitely metal.
So there's no plastics out there. So it's like the Krieg,
Well, no, that's not actually true. So there were Swat plastics.
Okay.
But they were just their basic foot soldiers. And they came in a box called Swats. There were like 20 of them in a box.
So you've got, but you don't have any.
But they're going to be very, very few and far between. Like, those are going to be guys who've been collecting them for
This is going to be one of those, when these first come out and you see somebody playing them, you're going to know that they loved it.
Yeah.
Because they put the time and effort to get them ready and put it on the table. And I mean, to be fair, I will tell everybody we're working on a lot of things. So with our painting session, the Heroic Skill Gamers has actually purchased an army where you're going to show you what it looked like when we got it, how to strip it. There is stripping in 40K. It may not be what you think it is, but there is stripping in 40K. And then we're going to have some stuff doing it. And so we do have our army, but I can tell you one of the things that Jamie has already told me is we got to get that thing done, because when these release, this will become the next focus to get done so we can get them on the stream and have them on the table. So we're pretty stoked.
I will be busting my hump to get as many of them finished and painted and on the stream as fast as possible, because I just think they're great. And then, although not directly 40K related, during the Warhammer Fest, they also talked about the Necromunda warband of Swats. What's neat about this is, although they're not actually Leagues of Botan, they are descendants. And I think what we'll find is this might give us an idea of what some of those Leagues of Botan troopers are going to look like. Probably not exactly like this, but they're going to be very similar. And I can tell you right now, from looking at them, some of these models are fantastic. I love that full face-closed helmet look. I think that thing is phenomenal. It's the next one with the hammer.
Yeah. Oh, the hammer's just
that guy is boss. If I get one of those in every single one of my Leagues of Botan box, yes, please, and I will take as many as you can give me. And then if you go to the next one, you see the guy with the what looks like a double heavy stubber. Like, it's just a great looking helmet. I'm really, really hoping that those are going to be available in a similar format or exactly like that, because those are white hot.
Or those will be your acolytes.
Yes, they will, because they are fantastic. Yeah, so this is one I am really, really excited about. And I know some people are going to be mad about it. They're going to be like, this really isn't my thing. I'm really, really excited. I think they're fantastic looking. And it's going to be a breath of fresh air. We're gonna get another new faction that we haven't seen in forever back on the tabletop. So that's just exciting.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And then last but not least, we've got our chapter approved Season 2 Warzone Nephilim. Wow, okay, where to start? There was so much information that they were able to kind of tease us with when this one came out, and I just about exploded with excitement because I play competitively. I enjoy playing competitively. When they brought out the last version of Chapter Approved, I thought the mission changes were very good. Still probably could have used some work, but they did a very good job of refreshing what competitive play looked like. And it looks like they're going to come out and do that again, and they're coming out swinging. Command points. The fact that we're going to start with about half as many command points in each game is going to shake things up in a way I don't think anyone could really expect. We'll have to see what that really does and how drastic those changes will actually be, but I do think it is going to make a big difference.
Oh, it's going to be huge because so here's where you look at it from a competitive standpoint. Because me and you both being competitive players, some of these competitive lists that are taken and coming out, they're starting with 5-6 CP.
Yeah.
If you're half that, so do you really want to start with 0?
Yeah.
If you do, that's fine, but then you're not going to have the 6 CP for that alpha strike that you normally would take and put out. So therefore, do you give up the alpha strike to have all the pieces, or do you lessen what you've got to have all that? And so and me and Jamie hadn't even talked about this, so this is going to be kind of a spot for you, for me to actually say this. To be honest with you, so when they came out with the last chapter approved, I thought it was really neat that they said no more souping.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, all right, no more souping. I've got to keep my keywords. And then people in the competitive field goes, we'll follow your rules, but we're going to soup this way. And so now the way I look at it is GJB goes, oh, you think you're still going to soup? Then cool, start with 0 CP. Yeah. I'm fine with it, and because that's where you lose most of your CP, is when you start trying to play that soup game that they really have kind of pushed away from.
Yeah, they really have started to really focus on mono-faction. You know, if you're going to play Dark Eldar, play Dark Eldar, right? If you're going to play Space Marines, play Ultramarines, or play Blood Angels. Don't
or if you want to all play Darkness.
Yeah.
Or
don't. And if you do, you're going to suffer the consequence. And the consequence in this case could be starting without command points. And without being able to use stratagems, it really does change how you have to play the game. And I think it's going to be something we're going to have to take some time to wrap our heads around. Because we are so used to having 12, 10, in some cases 14 command points.
What is the one, because I don't play what is that? You only wound on 4s?
Yeah. Transhuman.
Transhuman? Yeah, I just know when it happens to me. Yeah. But, you're going transhuman every turn? Okay, cool, fine with me, because you ain't doing nothing else.
Yeah. Yeah, now they did say with that, you're going to gain more CP as you go through the game, so as you get towards the end of the game, you'll have the ability to do some cool things because you're going to have some CP to do it with, which I think is really good. Obviously, there are CP hungry armies in this game. They already have a hard time getting it through turn 2 with some CP left. They may become even more starved unless they make some fundamental changes, which I think is good because I think there are other armies that aren't as CP dependent that feel almost like they can't play the game the same way because they don't really have great stratagems.
Yes.
Great versatility.
And I do think so. One of the things with the data balance sheet, we didn't get a chance to really review that, but a lot of the armor contempt, the changes to out of line of sight shooting, some of those different things. And so one of the factions, and actually the faction that I really will take to all the big events no matter what happens to it, because that was the promise I made to myself, and that's where I've stuck to it, will be Tau. But for me, the CP change actually gives me the ability not to worry about how heavy some of those armies that can turn 1, turn 2 really push because they have the CP, and allow me to play the game the Kion way. Yeah. That's what I'm liking with Tau now, and really allow me to even explore and be even more consistent in the later rounds.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think that's good because it allows people who enjoy playing the game that way to be able to do so without penalty.
Agreed. I think that's neat. The other big thing that really comes from the Chapter 2 season is people, this last one, they said, hey, we know you're not got your Codex yet. We know you don't have some secondaries. we'll chunk some in the book, and everybody was like, it felt like an afterthought. But with this one coming out, I really like the fact that basically it doesn't matter what you got in your codex, you can only take from what's in chapter approved. We're going to stick all the ones that are in codex that are viable. We're going to stick them in here. We may modify some of them because we don't like how they did. And chapter approved is chapter approved.
Yeah, thank God. Like, it's going to be nice knowing that I can go one place, get everything I need to be able to play my competitive game. I don't necessarily have to have 17 books. Everything I need to actually play the missions is in that one little tome. I think that's fantastic.
Along with that, I like the fact, and it's one of those, I always stood on the shelf, and me and you talked about it after, but I do like the fact that you're buying the tome. You have the tome, and then the points updates are digitally free now.
Yes.
Which, from a digital standpoint, and we've talked a lot about that on what we think about digital and how that could be done, but I do think it's neat so that, because in the changes before, and me and you both play competitive, but I am not naive. There is people that are out there that love the campaigns. There's people out there that love just playing for fun, and they are casual players. They do not get in the competitive. They do the fluff. But every time Points Change came out, they were almost forced to buy the competitive book so that they had points, so they could actually play their army right. Yeah. And so I like the fact that they go, you know what, we're going to make it free, so if you want competitive, you get the new book, you are able to play the new chapter approved. If you're playing casual, here's your point adjustment.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I think it's very important that, you know, those guys who, they don't play competitively, but they still want to be fair. And right now, the fairest way to do that is to play with points. You know, are all the points fair? No, but it's the best balance we have at the moment. Yes. So even they like to play using the points.
Very true.
Giving them the ability to do so without paying a tax, I think is fantastic. Now, I hope that this is a sign of things to come, because as most people know, and anyone who does know me, I feel very strongly about digital rules. I think we wouldn't have half of the problems we have with Codex imbalance if all of the rules were just available at the same time digitally. If you think of all the changes we've had to make over the last year because this Codex is too strong, and now that these newer codex are coming out so strong, if those other codexes still had those abilities or those rules, would it have been as much of a problem if everyone just had all their stuff at once? Probably not. But we would be able to find the most egregious and then fix it, instead of having to constantly fix something.
I feel like it's new, instead of feeling like new is egregious.
Yeah.
Which, to the standpoint of the way we've taken and really, we structure everything, again, getting your first box of minis to paint, to being confident on the table, the problem we see, and one of the things that we've been able to kind of overcome here in the local meta that we have, or local area, is you had your new players not wanting to play because they walk in and go, this is what it's like, there's no fun, and they would just kind of step out. And so if there's a way that could ever come out and not just be so egregious, it really does kind of open that up to bring more of those players in, because they're going to feel that they're not walking in to get everything stomped on and walking away and be like, oh, that was, like, they're having no fun. And the game is about fun. No matter how competitive you make it, I mean, the game has to be fun, and that's where we want to be. Exactly.
And I think that is the biggest key, right? The more access that people have to this information, the more they can enjoy it. You know, I'm also excited because it seems like they're going to be making additional changes to the missions, and the last batch of changes were very nice. They definitely made games better, but there's still some things that I think they need to change if they really want it to be a well-oiled machine. Like, for me, my biggest thing is domination has to go. Hold 2, Hold 3 is the worst thing. That every time any one of those missions come up, it doesn't matter who's playing it, everybody groans. Because it is one of the hardest ones to score. There's so much more additional things you have to keep track of when you're trying to score it. It's really kind of a pain in the butt.
No, I agree. And I think it was one of those where me and you talked about it, and not knocking any tournament or any way they take and choose it. But, you know, sometimes I've ran into some where you get 2 or 3 of those on day one. Well, you're running a gauntlet, and you really are doing, to my point of view, you're really doing an injustice, because you basically are punishing anybody that may have an army that's decent, but may struggle on those just to pull off the win. They can do it, you know, I can squeak out the 1 win, but all of a sudden you go squeak out 3 wins on day one and go, Well, we just basically kicked you out of the tournament because you couldn't squeak out 3 wins versus squeak out a win on day 1, squeak out a win on day 2, squeak out a win on day 3, because you're going to start having people kind of, as people win and lose, that competition is going to change a little bit.
Yeah, and there's nothing that feels worse than looking up at the start of your turn, finding that you only hold 1 objective and you score a big fat 0.
Yeah, that is rough. It is definitely rough. But I am excited. I mean, I really look back because, when you look at it, most people, you take and you have people pull out books. So most people will have chapter approved that had their last rules in it. And then you've got the newest chapter approved, and now you've got this one coming. But really and truly, if you take it back, there's been 4 chapter approved. Yeah. Because the first one was freaking awesome. It was in the really nice binder. Yep. It was done up. And then they came out with a second one, and me and you both discussed at the time, they really didn't change anything in the missions. No. It was just like, this all stayed the same. There were a couple of word changes, but that was it.
The fundamentals of the game didn't change.
But then they brought out this new one, and the game changed. I mean, we went from 15 point scoring to 12 points. We went from primary, secondaries. So the game actually changed. Yeah. Oh, it was awesome.
It was really awesome. Like, that was one of the neatest things I'd seen from a rules change, was the fact that there were other ways to score your primary points.
Oh, agreed.
Made it gave you an opportunity to catch up if you fell behind because you're slow.
Right.
Right? If your army's slow and you have a hard time moving across the board, you can get behind really, really quick. And if you get too far behind on primary, it almost becomes impossible to catch up. But being able to score some additional points, although, it's still a 0 is a 0, and it's going to be hurt. But if you can score 2 or 4 points,
on most
doing
of
something
them,
else.
Yeah, on those primary secondaries, if you get 10 points from that piece, then it's like you held 3 objectives in the old missions.
Exactly.
I mean, it's really, really neat. And so I am super, super excited to see what they do. The talk of the CP, the talk of the fact they're going to throw all the secondaries in there and kind of straighten them out. Because I'll be honest with you, I one of the secondaries that really irks me the most, even though I don't play the Death Guard, is I can stab myself, but you can't be on it. I can only do it once per turn, bleed out my ooey gooey blood, and I can contaminate that one. But you can't be on it. But yet Grey Knights can step on there with 65 people that's not even with them and go, tick, tick.
Got it.
Oh, I got that one on a 5. Oh, and I'm going to go ahead and do it on 3 other ones too, so I can get those all this turn.
Yeah.
And because when you look at it, even from the Thousand Sons, Grey Knight, and Death Guard, they all 3 have something to their faction based on the way that their fluff, their lore would play, which that's really been cool with all the codexes, is they have really leaned into those with a lot of the rule sets.
But then you have a couple of others like orcs who don't have a single one worth taking in their book. Yeah. All 3 of them are garbage. Like, so, not to knock the rules guys for writing them, but how that got through play testing without anyone realizing that you can't actually score any points with them is beyond me. Having played orcs for a very long time, I wouldn't take any of those if you paid me.
No, fair enough. Yeah. It's very fair.
So, but even with that being said, it's going to be nice to see some new ways in which to play the game, and I think that's what we're going to get out of this, and that's going to be exciting for everybody. Having just been to a big event, I was at Dallas Open a couple weekends ago, and those guys run a fantastic event. If you have an opportunity next year, I would suggest going. They put on a good show. It's 3 days of gaming, and it is a lot of gaming. We play 8 games over those 3 days, and you play all 8 games. But man, is it a good time. And it will be exciting next year to go into that, seeing what these changes bring to that game, to those games.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
So, very excited about that. But that's pretty much all that they had to show for the 40K reveals. I mean, it was a good day of 40K goodness. Really happy to see all the models and the great information that they passed along during the stream. I was riveted. Couldn't turn it off.
Well, I'll say this. One of the things that they did this year versus the years before, and I actually appreciated it, is they actually set it up day 1 is 40K, day 2 is AOS, day 3 is this. Because no matter how much I would love to say, I love to be able to play Blood Bowl, Necromunda, AOS, there's only so much time in the day. And as you can tell, I am not young with all this gray in my beard, so that means I don't have a lot of time between work, play, home, family, and everything else. So I really like the fact that they kind of said, hey, we're going to do this versus in days of old, I feel like they mixed and matched it.
Yep.
And so you had to watch all 4 days and catch your piece.
Yep.
Versus this time, hey, this is the
This
day
is
I
the
got
day I
to want to
wanna
watch
see.
it, and I can watch it. And if I got time to watch the others or I want to see some of the other stuff, I can.
Yeah, exactly. And I also agree. I think that was really, really good. But my question would be is what you all think. Did you watch it? If so, what are your thoughts? Did you like what you saw? What excited you most? I mean,
Put it in the comments.
Yeah, put it in the comments. For me, it was definitely Leagues of Botan. Leagues of Botan, Leagues of Botan. Let me say it one more time. Leagues of Botan.
I don't think y'all understand how interesting that is because you would have thought it would have been corn.
Oh my!
I mean, you would have thought.
Yeah, like when they first came out and said Korn was getting their own book, they're not even going to be part of the book. I was like, yes. And then Leagues of Botan, I was like, what was that Korn stuff? Leagues of Botan.
So yes, put it in the comments below. Tell us. Be honest with you. Just tell us what your favorite faction is. How the new stuff coming out. Let us know. Let us know what you'd like to see out of the new stuff coming out. Because one of the things we're going to take and do is we are going to bust our butts. I may not be painting it. Jamie may be painting it. I may be putting the plastic together. But we will take and do what we can to bust our butts to get it done and on the stream if you want to see it, so we can show it off. Because again, we just want everybody to take and see what's going on.
Yep. Yeah, and don't forget to like and subscribe. It completely helps us out. If this is content that you guys would like to see, comment below and let us know. We want to try once a week to kind of just talk about what's going on in the hobby, what our thoughts are.
Yeah.
At some point in time, we may talk about new codexes, we may talk about new rules, things of that nature.
So it's not up yet, but we are. So just so everyone knows, we are going to have a schedule.
Yes.
Mondays will be our battle reports. They will be live battle reports. I've got already the next 2 Mondays kind of booked. And I've got special guests coming on, people playing other people. Really want to take and use that to let the community. We actually have 5 teams here in this Houston area.
Yep.
So team members on team members against other team members. I put formal invites out to all of them. Hey, you want to be on? Let me know. Mondays are the nights. So we're going to start having those set up. Most of the time they're going to try to get started by 6:30 each night. It should last about 2.5 to 3 hours max, which you'll see is a lot of times by the 4th or 5th turn, depending on how it's looking. We may go ahead and kind of talk through, get some feedback. If we've got chat going and it's rocking and rolling like a party since 1964, we'll run it 4 hours. I don't care. If not, we'll take and kind of cut it short. People can put stuff in comments. On Wednesdays, even though it's not 40K related, one of the things we're going to take and start doing as well is I'm going to start having Star Wars Legion. I'm going to start having, I've been talking to some of those people in the community too. So we want to take and not just show off 40K, because I'm telling you, we love 40K.
Yes.
Jamie loves it. He's been doing it way longer than I am. He's the older gentleman in this group. I'm very young. I'm almost a baby in 40K. But I love the game. I love the tactics. I love the thought process. I love being able just to mess around with it and have fun with it. But we also have a lot of other great hobbyists in the community with some different games. And one of the things that outside of 40K, me and Jamie both love is Star Wars.
Yeah.
So we're like, you know what? We've got a platform to be able to take and put some content out with it. So on Wednesdays, we will be having that again, 6:30, running for about 2.5 hours, running a match on those. Now, I'll probably play in some of those because I'm still learning it. Jamie will come over, probably playing some. And then, of course, we're going to have the community doing that.
Yeah.
And then Thursdays will be our kind of this talk.
Yeah.
It's just going to be kind of, hey, what's going on? If we've got new releases of news or things coming out, we'll talk about that. If we ever get fancy enough to be able to get a hold of some new releases a little early, we'll talk about those.
Yeah.
Show some things off because we'd love to be able to do that. And then on the back end, we're going to have some stuff that's not going to be live, but we're going to be start putting stuff into our little keepsake on YouTube. And eventually, once we have that set up, we'll let you know so you can take and figure out how to get access to that.
Yep.
Until then, subscribe, hit the like button, smash the like button.
Yes.
Put comments in, tell us what you want.
Yeah, if you like it, you don't like it, and no comment is good or bad. Any information we can glean from it to make this better is what we're looking for.
Oh, yeah. I mean, to be honest with you, one of the things I was in one of the stores, and they said, hey, try to get the new camera angle. So I'm going to show it off one more time because I'm really stoked about being able to take. So we're going to see if we can take and go this, and then you'll be able to take and have stuff like that.
Oh,
just right there in your face.
That's just what I'm talking about. Everybody knows Drazar is a bad mother, but I don't know. That Nemesis Dread Knight's looking pretty ominous.
He looks like he wants to hold it.
I think so.
We are actually, so just so everybody knows, we are actually looking at having several different angles of that, being able to take and do it. So we're just going to have some fun with it. Again, it is all about taking and setting it up for everybody so we have a blast. With that, that's about it. As always, if there was any comments, we'd answer them.
Yep.
Didn't have any, I'm okay with it. We're just having fun with this. We'll take and with that, we will see you next time, as always. If you get a box of minis and you don't know how to put them together, want to paint them, or just learn how to play with them, let us know.
Yeah.
We'll help you out.
Watch
Watch the shows, or just kind of one off talk to us. With that, everyone have a good one.